And sadly, Winter Storm Gail has taken a turn for the worse this evening. 2 fatalities now being reported out of Clinton County, Pennsylvania. So I-80 westbound at 180, 30 to 60 car pileup. So, needless to say, that's an area you absolutely want to avoid tonight. You shouldn't even be on the interstates. But 2 fatalities right now, at least 2 fatalities, as a result of 30 to 60 cars piled up in Clinton County at I-80 and 180 this evening. So, again, guys, just let this thing pass. We've already gotten reports in the central part of the state of a foot of snow. Up to my north in Hazleton, there's been about 10 inches of snow, so a lot more snow off to our west, and it really came in hard. I mean, we're talking about 3-inch-an-hour rates that have now moved up again into the Catskills, into the southern tier of New York. So, Interstate 81 impacted. The Northway out of New York, 84, which takes, you across southern New York, in through Danbury, Connecticut, and through the Litchfield Hills. That's just starting now with the snow, but some of that is really going to pick up in intensity. So it's going to be interesting to watch Dave Malkoff's shot tonight in Hartford as he has just gotten into the snow now. So you can see the radar. I don't know if we're overlaying the interstates on all that, but there's so many interstates and even, smaller interstate travel areas in this area that are impacted and, of course, under the radar with snow right now. Every county, except for one in Pennsylvania, is under a winter weather advisory. Most of them are winter storm warnings. Most of the counties in Pennsylvania right now, and that's why. This is a very huge snow footprint, which is affecting a lot. And unfortunately, it's not just a general light snowfall like we're getting here with the sleet in Bethlehem, but a lot of these areas north and west of me, Felicia, sitting here with very, very heavy snow. All right, let's talk about the snow in New York City, because one of those areas certainly that we may deal with that heavier snow before it may mix with a little bit of sleet is New York City. How are you doing precipitation type-wise?
We're still getting the snow, Jim, but this is certainly one of the areas, especially the South Shore of Long Island, that forecast is so tricky. And, the meteorologists have been saying this. It's all where that rain-snow line ends up kind of lining up, and that's going to make all the difference in some of those totals. Now, it's a pretty good given that I would say, northern portions of Queens and Brooklyn, and then, of course, over into Manhattan, you're going to see those pretty impressive totals. But as you look farther south, especially on the eastern ends of Long Island, as you get to the southern facing shore, the eastern end, you might not see very many inches out of this at all, especially if we get that precipitation type switching over. But currently we're just getting light snow here in Queens where we are. But I'll tell you, it has been so gusty. It feels like it's in the teens. And I was just checking some of the OBS a couple of minutes ago. We've seen 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts at LaGuardia. We're seeing flights canceled. And then also, Jim, you were talking about the traffic troubles a little bit earlier that Gail has, turned fatal. Here in New York City, the Henry Hudson Bridge, the southbound lanes closed. Multi-vehicle accident there, really huge traffic problems going on, so I can't stress enough. Stay in if you can. Now, where we are exactly, you can see behind me, and maybe you can kind of faintly make out behind me what would typically be a gorgeous view of the Manhattan skyline. It is barely in view at this point. We are east of the East River separating us from Manhattan. Fun fact, the East River is not actually a river. That's just its name. But so typically you would be able to look from where we are across the river, see a beautiful skyline. That is not so much the case because of the reduction in visibility. But I will tell you, during our first hit just a few minutes ago, you could not see that skyline at all. And now obviously you can kind of make it out a little bit. And that just goes to show you the fluctuation that we're dealing with in a system like this. You could be dealing with this light snow. You're kind of not in the thick of it. You're in a nice little minorly shaking snow globe. And then all of a sudden you're in one of the heavier bands. You're dealing with the gusty winds, the reduced visibility. So this is really one of those systems that you can't just look out the window and be like, oh, it's calming down. I think I'm fine. I'm going to go venture out. Everything is probably, calming down. That's not what we're getting with this system, Jim. There's so many different meteorological elements that are coming to play, especially right along the coast near where that low pressure is tracking, that you just kind of have to stay in, really monitor the forecast, and let us be out in it for you and tell you what's going on. So, Jim, a tricky one for portions of the East Coast for sure.
A tricky one indeed, a tricky one too. If you got front wheel drive, you can see how it's a little spinny there. Got to get back on the traction and get out of harm's way and through here. Certainly a Grand Cherokee with likely four-wheel drive will be able to make it up the hill with no problem. But you're right. I mean, it's almost like the precipitation stopped, but that doesn't mean the roads all of a sudden aren't slippery. But so we can certainly see Felicia getting quite a bit of that precipitation. We'll see if she gets into what we call the dry slot here, or a lighter precipitation. That's where we are right now. So we've just got kind of a snow drizzle coming down at the present time. It's not much at all, but we do expect this area to fill back in later on tonight, and any area really that is going to be drier could easily see the snow come on back. So don't be fooled, but this is actually a really good chance for road crews to get out and do some cleaning before the next round comes up, instead of just getting that hammer all night long. That won't be the case in the southern tier of New York, on over to western Connecticut, as the snow continues to push east and eat away at that cold, dry air. And it's going to come in like a hammer. Stay tuned.